Welcome to the Ghostly Gallery podcast, a place where we explore the world of horror and mystery in film, television, books, and popular culture. Well, greetings, everyone. Welcome to another week's show. My name is Bruce Markusen, and once again, I'm joined by co-host and producer Tracy Asteria. Tracy, how you doing this week?
I'm doing really good, Bruce. How's everything going with you?
Absolutely crazy. We're recording in the midst of Memorial Day weekend. There's lots of activities going on at the Hall of Fame. It's been kind of a psycho week. I know you're real busy also, but we're not so busy that we can't do a show.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Somehow we find room to do it.
That's right.
Now, whether it will be a quality show, we'll know in about an hour. We hope it will be. Well, there's always optimism about that, of course.
Yes. I think it
Yeah.
will be fantastic. I think we got
All
some
right.
good stuff coming up.
Okay. Well, no guests this week. It's just you and me talking. We've got two films that we're going to be looking at. One is a new one. One is celebrating its 30th anniversary. And these are films, both of which deal with the theme of witches and witchcraft, but they're very, very different movies. So first up is the new film, drawing some very positive reviews. It is called Hokum, which I have seen in the theater and very much enjoyed. And then when we're done with Hokum, we will look at a film that came out 30 years ago, 1996 film, which I believe you just saw for the first time, The Craft.
Correct.
So we'll get into both of those. But let's start with a newer film, and it has the unusual name of Hokum. And it begins in an unusual way. It begins with a scene in a desert, set back in time when there was a Spanish conquistador and a young boy, and they're in the middle of this arid desert searching for treasure. The man has a glass bottle with a map inside, but he has a lot of trouble opening it. Doesn't really have anything he can break it with. So this conquistador considers breaking the bottle over the boy's head so that he can actually see the map and obtain the treasure. So it looks like he's ready to sacrifice the young boy. We don't know if it's his son or not. We can only imagine. But just as this conquistador is thinking about what he's going to do, the scene suddenly cuts away. And we quickly learn that this is actually the final scene, an imagined scene from a book being written by a reclusive but popular American author named Ohm Bauman. So Ohm is struggling to come up with the proper finish to the book. After this opening scene, which can be a little confusing, he then sees a glimpse of his mother's ghost in his house. And that motivates him to go on a trip. He visits the Bilberry Woods Hotel located in rural Ireland. And that is where his parents had long ago honeymooned. Ohm wants to lay down his parents' ashes in the woods surrounding this hotel. Now, as Ohm encounters staff at the hotel, he really comes across as a rude and dismissive and unfriendly guy. And he immediately takes a disliking to the hotel owner, whom he catches telling two young kids an awful story about an evil witch that kidnaps children. And this owner is an older man named Cobb. Now, after settling into the hotel, Ohm meets a friendly young bartender named Fiona. And she tells Ohm that the hotel's honeymoon suite is locked and haunted by a witch who was killed by the owner, Cobb. And Cobb has forbidden anyone from the hotel, staff or otherwise, to open this honeymoon suite. Well, Ohm tells Fiona about his own background, how his mother was murdered and his father drank himself to death. We're going to find out a bit later on that that's not exactly what has happened. We'll explain further as we proceed. Ohm also asks Fiona about the location of a particular redwood tree in a photo that he shows to her. And this photo features Ohm's mother. And Fiona happens to know exactly which redwood tree it is and where it is, and she tells Ohm how to get there. He then makes his way into the woods, places the ashes of his mother and father inside of the tree. So he completes his mission. Now, while in the woods, Ohm runs into a friendly old man, guy named Jerry, who likes to ingest hallucinatory mushrooms. Yes. Yeah, and he does have some strange hallucinations. But unlike his other encounters with the staff at this hotel, Ohm bonds with the man. He actually gets along with him. Then, after returning to the hotel, Ohm meets a friendly bellboy whose name is Albie. And he happens to be a fan of Ohm's books, praises his writing. Now, instead of accepting the praise, Ohm is obnoxious toward this Albie, this bellboy, who is an aspiring writer himself. And rather than encourage Albie, Ohm belittles Albie and actually does something really weird. He burns him with a heated spoon. I mean, this is really antisocial behavior on the part of this writer, Ohm. Well, later that night, Fiona and Albie visit Ohm's room. This is after Fiona discovers Ohm's wallet and the tape recorder that he carries around with him everywhere. And she's a bit concerned that something has happened to Ohm. And when Ohm does not come to the door, her concerns become heightened. Albie unlocks the door, revealing that Ohm is hanging from the ceiling. He's apparently tried to kill himself. Thanks to Fiona, though, Ohm is saved and rushed to the hospital, where he wakes up several weeks later. Now, when Ohm is finally released from the hospital, he does return to the hotel, and he asks to see Fiona, presumably to thank her. But he is told that Fiona has been missing ever since the hotel's Halloween party took place. Now, the hotel clerk suspects that Jerry, the man from the woods, is somehow behind Fiona's disappearance. Soon after, Ohm encounters Jerry, who claims that he has actually seen Fiona's ghost, and he directs Ohm to go to the honeymoon suite. Jerry also makes an interesting confession. He says that he killed his own wife several years ago, but he explains that she was very seriously ill, presumably terminally ill, and that it was a mercy killing. Now, with the hotel about to close for the season, Ohm is forced to leave. But he and Jerry, they decide they want to break into the hotel and investigate Fiona's disappearance. They're really concerned about what's happened to her. Of course, Ohm sneaks into the forbidden honeymoon suite, but Jerry is attacked and knocked out by the hotel groundskeeper, and that leaves Ohm on his own to continue this investigation. While in the honeymoon suite, Ohm has visions of his mother's ghost. More specifically, he has a vision from his own childhood. And this is where it's revealed what actually happened to his mother. She was not murdered. Actually, what happened, Ohm accidentally killed her with his father's gun. He was a young child at the time. It's a terrible accident. And I guess this horrible tragedy really explains why Ohm's manner is so abusive toward others. Now, while this is going on in the honeymoon suite, the front desk clerk, a guy named Mal, finds Ohm in that suite, tells him he's got to leave the hotel immediately. But Ohm is determined not to stop his investigation. And he does end up looking inside of a dumbwaiter. I guess they're pretty common in Great Britain. And there he actually finds Fiona's body. So she is dead. Mal then locks Ohm into the suite, leaving him to die there. But Ohm soon finds his tape recorder. And on that recorder is a message left by Fiona. She explains that she's pregnant with Mal's child. Not wanting that to bring shame to him and his family, Mal apparently murdered Fiona. That seems to be the explanation. Soon learn that Mal gave Fiona a drugged tea and took her to the honeymoon suite, leaving her there to die. Now, Om then tries to escape the hotel, but he encounters both Mal and the witch haunting the honeymoon suite, and this leads to a dramatic final confrontation involving the two men and the ghost of the witch. So that's the story. It's kind of an involved story. Takes a little bit of time to grasp all the facts of what happened. So let me ask you this, Tracy. What did you think of this story overall? You like it? Not like it? What do you think?
I do like the story. It's really interesting. The opening scene, though, really kind of I couldn't piece what was going on in the very first scene when
Yeah,
the characters were in the desert, and it was an unusual way to start the movie, but, it was good. It was
yeah,
really good, and I thought it was like a Gothic type mystery movie, not so much like a really big horror movie, but I think that's only because I went in expecting something really scary because everybody online, especially the TikTok people, they really hyped it up, and I think my just expectations for just like the spookiest movie ever was really high. But once I got kind of settled in, like you mentioned, and kind of got into the groove with the movie, I really enjoyed it and I
yeah,
appreciate it, like what the movie was actually trying to do because it was trying to do so many different things. Um, I really liked the setting. I thought it was pretty cool.
yeah,
It was just such an interesting mystery, like because you're trying to piece together what the heck is going on, and like you mentioned earlier, that when we found out what really happened to Ohm's mother, it was a little bit later on in the movie. So I thought it was really great that the writers of this film didn't kind of like do trauma dump to the audience right away to tell us that whole entire story. I
yeah,
really liked that they kind of led us on and kept us guessing a little bit.
sure.
And, you're right. Ohm is definitely not a very nice fella. He's not likable at all in the very beginning of this movie,
Yeah,
but, I it he was such an interesting character. I thought that it was really well done. So I really liked the storyline. Very
yeah.
interesting.
So you went in thinking this was going to be more violent, maybe gruesome?
I think that's what I thought, and I
Yeah,
thought we were, like, going to be on the edge of our seat expecting, like, jump scares and blood and violence, like, I don't know, like, there was just so much hype on
yeah,
different social media platforms about this movie. I think I was just, like, expecting never to sleep again.
yeah.
That's I was like, "Oh, I really wanna watch it, but I'm not sure if I wanna watch it because everybody's like,
Mhm.
oh, it's, like, so scary," but it wasn't scary, it was just intriguing. I'll say that. It was
Yeah.
intriguing.
Creepy, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Skin crawling at times. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, two other things that I didn't mention about Hokum in my initial summary of the plot line. First is this character that people are referring to either as Jack the Jackass or Jack the Donkey, whichever you prefer. So when Ohm is trapped in the hotel, there's a television set that suddenly turns on, and it starts with kind of that old-fashioned snow that appears on screen. You'd get that from old TV sets before the days of cable and high def and all that. And then after the snow disappears, it reveals an old televised game show or a kid show of some sort.
Mhm.
And Jack the Jackass is part of this kid show. And he's a very disturbing looking character that somehow is part of Ohm's past. So Jack the donkey or Jack the jackass, he has huge bulging eyes, and he's really a sight to behold. I've seen a number of online reviewers. They refer to him as one of the most frightening monsters, if we can call him that they've ever seen in a movie. I don't know if I'd go that far, but he certainly is disturbing looking, strange looking, and I guess depending on how squeamish you are, a little bit on the frightening side. Now, the one thing that we don't get an explanation of in this movie is what exactly is his relationship to Ohm? Does he have anything at all to do with this witch or this abduction of Fiona? We're never really told any of that. Makes me wonder if maybe this is a setup to a sequel, one that's going to explore this Jack the Jackass more closely. So I'm wondering, do you have any thoughts on that? Have you seen anything online? Any theories on who this Jack the Jackass might be?
No, it's really weird. I haven't heard anything about that at all, really, through, like, even all of the TikTok accounts talking about this movie. Like, I haven't really heard a lot about it, but I thought Jack the Jackass, I thought he was, like, really weird and, like, very, very creepy. Um, just very strange looking, kind of, like, makes you kind of, you know, hold your breath because you're like, "Oh my god, what is that? What's going on?"
Yeah. Is he human? Is he an animal? What the heck is he?
I have no idea. I don't even know if if he was like a figment of Ohm's imagination. I don't
Yeah.
know if I just don't know if it was just like maybe I don't know, maybe his guilt for what happened to his mom, like maybe
Yeah.
that's what it represents, but uh, I don't know. It was so weird because he's kind of skulking around that honeymoon suite and all of a sudden boom, the fuzz comes on the TV and then this little character comes on and I'm like, "What is going on?"
Yeah.
But super creepy.
Now, were you surprised to hear about the death of the mother and how it really actually happened? That caught me totally by surprise. What about you?
Same. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely same because when he's sitting at the bar when he first enters the hotel and he's talking to Fiona, he's like he's just talking about what happened to his mom and
Mhm.
how some kid just shot her in the face and just never had any repercussions at all, the child was never punished. So when we find out later that he was responsible, it really I was like, oh wow, I did not see that coming at all because
Yeah.
he was kind of telling the story to Fiona. I thought it might have just been, like, some punk kid who came in and terrorized his mom because that's kind of, like, what we were led to believe,
Yeah.
not that it was, like, this just bizarre accident.
Tracy, let's talk a little bit about the scene where Fiona and Albie go to Ohm's room. They find him hanging from the ceiling. That
Mhm.
was a total shock to me. Now, I'm still not sure. Did he try to kill himself? Or did somebody do that to him? Was he drugged and then put in this situation? Because as obnoxious as he is in the early scenes of the film, and even though we do find out about this secret about his mother that he's
Mhm.
harboring, he didn't come across to me as a suicidal person. So I'm still not sure exactly what happened there. Do you any thoughts on that?
No, I was really surprised. So I was surprised at a couple of different things because again, like Fiona found his tape recorder and his wallet on the bar, and she instinctively went to his room and wanted to make sure that basically he was okay. So to me, I if I recall correctly, she kind of might have possessed a little bit of supernatural kind of I don't know, premonitions or something. I
Mm,
kinda got that feeling that maybe
yeah,
she may have because she was just, so urgent for the bellboy to just, open up this door. She thinks there's something wrong,
right.
And I thought he was just going to be like sleeping because he had had
Right.
a lot of alcohol to consume at the bar, right?
Right.
And then when the next shot pans and he's kind of like there hanging from the ceiling, I was like, wow, again, just another kind of like shocker. I didn't see that at all. I
Yeah.
mean, he didn't seem like that would be something that he was going to do.
Yeah.
Because he's an author, he seemed to be kind of arrogant and
Yep.
didn't want anything to do with anybody else, although he did have that connection with Fiona, but it was just so weird, and again, like, I don't know if it was, like, anything supernatural or if he did it himself, but, eh, maybe he had some hallucinogenic mushrooms,
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they
interesting, though.
they they really leave that open. That's kind of a mystery, and if
Mhm.
there is a sequel, maybe we'll find out more about that.
Yeah.
I'm sure some people reviewing the film, they'll have definite thoughts either way, but I still don't know, and I've watched it a couple times now, so
Mhm.
I'm not exactly sure if he really tried to kill himself or this was a setup or somebody tried to murder him. I just just also the way he acted when he came back from the
Yes.
hospital.
Mhm.
He didn't seem depressed, didn't seem like he was gonna try to do himself in again.
No.
Instead, he wants to find out what's happened to Fiona. That's
Oh,
his primary
exactly.
motivation. So that's
Yeah.
another reason why I'm doubting this whole suicide thing. So that really is still up in the air.
Mhm. No,
Tracy, one of
totally
the things
agree.
I like about this movie a lot, it does very well, it's the lighting in this movie. So the interior hotel scenes at this old hotel, and again, it's called the Bilberry Woods Hotel. It's in rural Ireland. Beautiful name for the hotel,
Mhm.
Bilberry Woods. So there's interior scenes at night. They're very dim, but they're not completely dark. Sometimes you watch a film, horror movies especially, so dark you have no idea what's going on. You almost wonder, do I need to change the contrast? If I'm watching on TV, do I need to change the contrast on the screen to see it better? And when you see basically a dark room and you can't even make out the characters, I'm not that big a fan of that. To me,
Mhm.
that's kind of weak filmmaking. But here, it's very dim, these hotel scenes at night, and they're so dim that we can see just glimpses of ghosts, witches, even the main characters themselves within the hotel room. So there's just enough light that we can make these characters out, but at the same time, it's very dark. It's very moody. And I thought that the director did a great job with that.
Mhm.
So the lighting is really top notch. Again, these horror films that put us in complete darkness for long stretches, I'm not a big fan of that. But here you sort of know something's going on. There's some kind of a supernatural figure or more than one supernatural figure,
Mhm.
and it's kind of haunting, it's creepy. I thought that was very, very effective.
Yeah.
By the way, the director is Damien McCarthy, who's done some other good stuff, and this is really maybe his best film to date. I think he's a guy that we need to look out for in the future, Damien McCarthy. So he gives us just enough of a visual, lots of atmosphere, lots of gloom. We can see hints of things that we know are disturbing, and it's really effective. So that's one of the things I liked about the film. How about
Mhm.
you, Tracy? Anything in particular that the director did or that the actors did that you really liked about Hokum?
Oh my gosh. Um, I I really liked it just because the overall tone, it was like, I felt it was really different from some of the more recent horror films that we've been watching.
Hmm.
Just because it was just it had a mystery to solve, and it left so many open questions, and I do think, like you've mentioned, that, the possibility of a sequel is there just because there's so much unexplained info, that we still need to uncover, but just the mystery and I think the character development was really good because a lot of the times they just kind of like quickly, establish a character and then they just kind of move on. But I really do think that they took the time with this. And honestly, I don't even remember what the runtime is of this movie. But whatever it was, like they took the adequate time to really put the character of Ohm together. They
Mhm.
didn't tell us like absolutely everything and they left something open for interpretation. But I do think they did a great job with it.
Yeah.
And it kind of like, and maybe I'm a little bit biased, but it kinda gave me a little bit of The Shining vibes at times,
Mm.
just with the isolated hotel, the hallways, just the location. It the odd like, him being an author as well, like, I felt like, maybe it had a little bit of a Shining feel to it.
Yeah, I see
Um,
that, yeah.
and it again, like, it was just I thought it was kind of fascinating because again, like, is it supernatural? Like, is it ghosts? Is it witchcraft? Like, what is it? Like, there's obviously something. And like one of the creepier scenes was when he was drawing the chalk circle
Mm.
around the bed at night, like,
Yeah.
that just like, you didn't really see anything because, again, it was dim, but you kind of knew something was there, you saw a little glimpse of something. I thought that scene was super well done because it left so much to the imagination, and I just think that the story isn't finished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That scene is important too because it shows the changes in Ohm. At the beginning, he's cynical. He's not gonna believe in ghosts or the supernatural, but by putting that chalk line down, yeah, he's
Mhm.
changed his mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep.
complete transformation. We should talk about the lead actor here. Adam Scott plays Ohm. What'd you think of his performance?
I thought it was really good. I've never seen him before in anything, and I was trying to, like, figure out, like, have I seen him? And he kind of reminded me a little bit, and I cannot remember his name, but the lead actor who played the dual role in the movie The Monkey by Osgood Perkins, he kind of reminded me of that that actor a little bit, but I I
Yeah,
I thought he did, like, an excellent job from going from one end of the spectrum to the other with his behavior. I I
yeah.
just thought he did really, really good.
He's the star of a show that I haven't watched, but it's pretty popular, this Severance show.
Hmm.
And I see it featured on IMDb all the time, and I believe he's the lead in that, and he's gotten rave
Ah.
reviews for that. He's done some horror movies in the past.
Mhm.
Um, I think he's always good, but I think he's really at the top of his game here because he does play a character with several layers. He's unpredictable. At
Mhm.
times, he's just ridiculously obnoxious. You wanna slap him. And then at other times, you kinda find yourself rooting for him, hoping that maybe he's gonna see the light, and in some ways, he does see the light as the movie, progresses.
That's right. I
Uh,
think what
yeah,
was really, like, kind of a little bit of humor at the very beginning too with this character. Once he finally finds like where that redwood tree is and he gently looks at the picture of his mother with this tree and then he gently kind of scatters her ashes around the tree and lays her little urn inside kind of like the well of the tree. And then he pops open his dad's ashes and he just goes, and he just kind of, like, tosses them, and then he just,
yeah,
like, turfs it, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh." So, you could definitely tell that he had a very strained relationship, obviously, with his dad,
yeah,
after that incident, but it was kinda funny a little bit when he, just the way he treated his dad's ashes. I was like, "Okay,
yeah.
definitely something going on there."
Alright, Tracy, let's, finish off our reviews here. We'll give our final grades, scale of 1 to 5. What do you think of Hokum?
So, I gave this one a 3. again, like, I thought it was a really good movie and definitely different than what I expected going in. And I think that's only because it was just, like, hyped up so weird on social media platforms that I was watching. But, it's still I did really like it. It was such an interesting mystery. Um, I like the setting and the symbolism and just the fact that I think there's a lot of hope for a sequel, and definitely something that I will probably watch maybe 1 or 2 more times, because now that I know the full story that was presented in the movie, I think I can go back and now pick out different things and, maybe have a different interpretation, and probably I would say the next time I watch it, I
Yeah.
think my score will probably bump up a bit for sure. Yeah, how about you?
Well, I think you make a perfect point. This is the kind of film that if you like it the first time, you liked it, I like it as
Yeah.
well. You're gonna wanna watch it a couple more times to truly understand everything that happened because there is a lot going on. There's a main story, there's side stories.
Mhm.
It can be a little confusing the first time through. Yeah, and even the second time through, I don't think I saw everything. So, yeah, it's one that you can kinda go back to the well on. It has some depth to it in a way like Sinners and Weapons, some of the great movies from last year.
Mm,
I think Hokum is very well acted. Scott is great in the lead role. I was not that familiar with the other actors going in, but I thought they all performed well. This movie has great mood, great atmosphere, and enough mystery to really keep you guessing almost until the very end. And based on what I've seen with this one, having watched it a couple times, I have to say it's my favorite film so far in 2026. I'll go a little bit
nice.
higher. I'll give it 3.5 stars for Hokum.
Oh, awesome,
Yeah.
awesome.
So 3.5 stars. Maybe if I watch it again, I'll give it 4 stars, but we'll have to wait and see on that. But 3.5 from me and 3 from Tracy. All right. That's the first of our two films related to witches and witchcraft. We will take a short break on the Ghostly Gallery. When we come back, it's on to a very different film involving witches and witchcraft. From 30 years ago, it's The Craft. We'll talk about that when we come back on the Ghostly Gallery. Welcome back to the Ghostly Gallery podcast. Bruce Markusen with you, along with Tracy Asteria. We just finished talking about the new movie Hokum, which we both like a lot. Now it's on to a film that I wouldn't say is an old movie, even though it's 30 years ago, 1996. It feels more recent than that. But it's a film that is very well done. It's a film that is available on streaming. You may be quite familiar with it. Tracy's going to tell us more about The Craft.
Absolutely, and you're right, it doesn't feel like it's that old, Bruce, absolutely not. It feels like the '90s, well, actually, it even feels like the '80s was, like, maybe 20 years ago, so
Yeah,
I don't know where the time has gone, but The
none of
Craft.
us do.
I know, right? It's so silly. But The Craft is one of those movies that really feels connected to the '90s, but at the same time, it still holds up really, really well. It was directed by Andrew Fleming, and the film follows Sarah Bailey, played by Robin Tunney. She's a quiet teenager who moves to LA and has trouble fitting into her new school, which a lot of people do when they go to new schools. But before long, she crosses paths with 3 girls who are seen as outsiders as well, and they are rumored to practice witchcraft. So the group includes Bonnie, Rochelle, and Nancy, and Nev Campbell, Rachel True, and Faruza Balk star in this film. So they're the 3 girls. Together, the 4 girls begin experimenting with magic, and at first they use it as a way to kind of gain some confidence and fight back against some of the people who mistreat them in different ways, because we see there's one girl who's taunted, and there's another girl whose mother's boyfriend is not the nicest, and one girl who has like a medical condition. So they're not always treated very good, and they're kind of like outcasts at school. So they're they try to use this magic, this witchcraft to make things better for them, which is great. Because I know when I went to school, witchcraft was a big thing and everybody wanted to, talk about it and do it, and I actually even had some books on it, but I was never actually a witch, but, there were books, we read them.
Did you try to enact some spells?
Well, no, I think because I was as intrigued as I think
Yeah.
I was kind of very nervous and very scared at the same time. When I was in high school, and I think like grade 12, might have been grade 12, I actually purchased a book at the bookstore, and it was just, this little paperback witchcraft book. And then I purchased another book with, it was called the Necronomicon,
Yeah, yeah. Book of the Dead, right?
Book of the Dead. Um, I opened the book, and I was working a job, and I bought this with my money, and I think I read the first couple of pages, and I was so scared, I put the book in the trash, and it went out on garbage day. I'm like, "I can't." And I totally regretted buying the book.
Wow.
So, that was kind of like my glimpse with witchcraft and stuff.
Okay.
So, not a witch here, honestly.
All right.
Oh
I'm
my.
relieved.
Yes, I know, right? I'm sure
Yeah.
my family is too. Oh my. But so what these girls are doing, they're using witchcraft for the good and well, to better themselves.
Yeah.
And it's very personal for those girls. Bonnie wants to finally move past like the scars that have affected her confidence. Rochelle, she's targeting that mean girl that goes to the high school that kept taunting her and is very racist and just not a good human being. And Sarah, she starts embracing like these abilities because we kind of come to find out that she's kind of blessed with these magical powers of witchcraft and she's actually really good at it. She's like a strong witch.
Mhm.
Um, but the deeper they get into like this whole witchcraft thing, things start to kind of spiral out of control. And Nancy, she becomes really reckless and she's super consumed by having this power. And I'll tell you, like, Faruza Balk, she plays a great Nancy.
Oh, yeah.
She really does.
Yep.
So, at what point in this movie did you feel things like started to go just like all haywire with this group of girls?
Pretty much when Nancy shows up, which is pretty much at the beginning of the film. Yeah, j just Farusa Balk's look and the way that she speaks, and then, of course, her behavior, which gets
Mhm.
increasingly dangerous. But no, I mean, from the beginning, you can just tell that there is trouble with Nancy, as played by Farusa Balk. And there's a funny scene where they're all getting off the bus, and the 4 girls, the 4 witches, I think they're the last ones to get off the bus, and the bus driver, the older man, says to them, "Watch out for the weirdos." And then Farusa Balk says, "We are the weirdos, mister." So that was another clear sign, that, this was going to be Nancy's movie of destruction. She was gonna cause trouble. So I really kind of felt as soon as she came on the screen and just the way she spoke, you could tell that she's different from the other 2 girls that are already at the school,
Mhm.
but also the character played by Robin Tunney who shows up. You can tell Nancy is in a league of her own, and
Yes.
that was gonna be trouble. Now it's about I guess it's about midway through the film that Nancy starts to really dabble into dangerous witchcraft,
Yeah.
harmful stuff, and then starts, targeting Robin Tunney. And that, of course, leads to the confrontation at the end.
Mhm.
Um, so they do build it up, even though right from the beginning, Nancy is trouble. She does become increasingly dangerous, sinister, and it just sort of reaches, a hurricane level by the third act of the film. So I
Mhm.
kind of knew right away with her.
Oh, man, I know. I think she just has this natural kind of, aura about her, I guess. Just she's just, like, just a wild child, and I think she did really great. I thought the whole cast was incredible in this movie. I really liked her. She's just, like, super intense during this whole thing, and that one scene where she's trying to invoke a certain spirit, I can't remember the name, but the spirit for the best power that she can possibly have that's seen on the beach, like, that was incredible. Like, that just kind of, like, showed her true kind of power and her ability to really kind of key right into this role. I thought she was excellent. Um, and what was interesting too, and I didn't know that Skeet Ulrich was in this movie.
Mm,
So he's kind of cool. He plays that guy Chris, and he's always been in different horror films and other movies, and I always liked him. I thought he was like a quirky kind of a character. Of course, in this movie, he's a jerk. Of course, he's
mhm.
definitely a jerk in this movie. Um, but he's the vibe of the '90s, just like Nev Campbell and Fairuza Balk. Like they're definitely a
Yeah.
'90s kind of a kind of a group. Um, so I really did. I enjoyed the cast and their performance. I thought was really, really great. So, like, who was your favorite performance? Was it Fairuza, or did you have like a preference?
Well, before I get to that, let me talk a little bit about Skeet Ulrich.
Mm,
Every time I see this guy, whether it's a movie or a TV show, wasn't he in Riverdale also?
I think he might have
Yeah.
been.
I think he was in a show like that, if not
Mhm.
Riverdale, something like that. The characters he plays, I never trust him.
I know, right?
And in this movie, he's trying to befriend Sarah. It seems like he's interested in her. He's interested in being her boyfriend. But then we, clearly see that he has, false intentions,
Mhm.
ulterior motives. He's not a sincere guy. And I always just get that sense from him that maybe he's been pigeonholed into that kind of role, but he's good at it. You have Nev Campbell, who's better known for the Scream movies,
Mhm.
and Skeet Ulrich is from Scream as well.
That's right.
So, Nev Campbell is, of the four witches here, a little more on the innocuous side, but she does have these terrible scars on her
Mm.
back, and they try to use witchcraft to heal her, and actually it does work. But she's quite good here. And this film came out around the time of Scream, so this was a good
Okay.
time in Nev Campbell's career. She's really starting to emerge on the national stage. I think that Robin Tunney is very good. Robin Tunney has not become a huge star, but I think she's always very solid. She did a good
Mhm.
job as one of the lead characters in that TV show, The Mentalist. She's one of the lead police investigators in that
Okay.
one. I tend to like her. She tends to play more likable characters, and I think of the four witches, she's definitely the most likable.
Mhm.
So I think they're all good. Rachel True is another one who's still acting today. Has had a good career, but hasn't become, maybe the superstar like a Robin Tunney. Has not become a superstar. I think Nev Campbell is, of all these
Mhm.
four actresses, she's the one that's really emerged as the biggest name. But I think the other 3 actresses have all had good careers, and I think they are good performers, and they do the job here. But, to me, this is the Fairuza Balk show, really, in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Her performance is just incredible. She plays this dark-hearted character, and in fact, she is so convincing in this role that back in 1996, when this film came out, many theater goers believed that Fairuza Balk was a witch in real life. And it turned out that later, I think it was after this movie came out, she actually bought an occult themed store. And that only fueled this false narrative that she was a witch. So that tells you something. When someone is so convincing in that role that you think that's what they really are off screen, you've done an amazing job. The other thing that's interesting about the performances here, so all these actresses, they're playing high school girls.
Mhm.
They're all in their 20s at this time. And that's a tendency that Hollywood has. They will usually cast older. So we'll see high school, college girls, or even boys. They're played by older actors
Yeah.
who are, anywhere from 5 to 6 to 8 years older. These actresses are about 8 to 10 years older. And yet they're somewhat believable as high school students.
Mhm.
They're somewhat, I don't know, there's some naivete there. Even though you know that they're older, they're physically mature, but they're able to give you an impression of being a little bit younger mentally. And I think that's a tribute to their acting here. So, sometimes when you have actors or actresses playing high school students when they're many years older, sometimes you're like, yeah, this just isn't believable, stop. But I think the 4 here, they do a nice job. They really do. But it is Fairuza Balk who definitely carries this program.
Oh, I absolutely agree. She was phenomenal. I didn't know that she had owned, like, a store like that at one point in time. How cool would that have been to go visit?
Well, I would have walked in, taken one look at her, and probably run out the door. Not that she's unattractive, it's just the way she makes herself up.
Yeah.
And I guess in this movie too, it's also the way she speaks. She has such a hard edge.
Mhm.
She's really kind of an intimidating character in every way in this movie.
No, absolutely. And what's interesting too is, there's actually she's also a singer, so she has her own indie albums.
Really?
But there's also, so when I see her in this movie, it she reminds me of a singer that is, very active today. Just it's actually a young man. They call him Youngblood.
Hmm.
I don't know, have you ever heard of him?
I
He's
have not. The only
Yeah.
Youngblood I've ever heard of, there was a movie that I think came out in the late 80s or early 90s. I want to say it was with Rob Lowe, Youngblood, a hockey movie, I think.
Yes, you are right.
Yeah, that's the
Yes.
only Youngblood I know about.
Oh my gosh.
It's
Well,
not this,
this
though.
no, this is just a I think he's in his, like, early 20s or whatever, and he is, I'm not quite sure. He was good friends with Ozzy Osbourne
Oh,
before he
okay.
had passed, but, when I see him in, like, a video or something like that, I'm instantly reminded of Fairuza Balk because
Hmm.
he resembles her, and he does the same kind of makeup and the same kind of hair, and it's very uncanny. It that really kind of I was like, "Oh my gosh," because I didn't really, but there's no connection between the 2, but I
Yeah,
they just resemble each other. It's fascinating, actually.
interesting. Hmm.
But, you're right. This is the first time I saw this film, Bruce, and, there's a lot of things going on. There's the witchcraft, which was super fascinating. I do like that kind of a thing. But there was also kind of like these girls dealing with, like, bullying and loneliness and just insecurity and racism, and all they wanna do is be accepted. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why this movie really kinda still holds up today because these issues are still with us in
Yeah.
society, so I think a lot of people can relate to it, and to have the supernatural elements attached to it just makes it a really good story.
Yeah.
I mean
The bully, by the way, is played
mhm.
by Christine Taylor,
Hmm.
and she is married to, the, son of the great comedian, and I'm forgetting his name, and that is how can I forget his name? He's such a great actor. He passed away a few years ago. Um, anyway, the son was
Mhm.
in the Night at the Museum movies. Why am I not remembering his name?
Oh, Ben Stiller.
Yeah, Ben Stiller, son of great
Okay.
Cherry Stiller. Sometimes you
Yes.
just draw a blank. But anyway, in real life, Christine Taylor married to Ben Stiller, and Christine Taylor usually, at least in the movies I've seen,
Mm.
she plays the good girl, like in Seinfeld. In fact, that was one of the central themes of one of the episodes. She plays this perfect girlfriend that Jerry loves, but all of her friends, Kramer, Elaine, and George, they all think that she's a loser. So
Mm.
they have a much different perception. Jerry's right. She is great. She's beautiful and wholesome and perfect. But for some reason, the three of them, they have a weird, skewed view of what she's really like. But in other movies, Christine Taylor played Marsha Brady in the Brady, one or two of the Brady Bunch remake films. And I've seen her in a couple
Oh.
of other horror films where generally she does play positive, upbeat characters.
Mhm.
And here she's just nasty. She's racist. She is cruel, foul mouthed. I mean, she's in some ways, she's cut from the same cloth as Farousa Balk, but even more dastardly, if you will. So
Mhm.
she really kind of plays against her usual type, but it's very effective in the movie too.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know she was married to Ben Stiller. Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Um, wow. What happens to her in this movie is just absolutely bananas. I mean, if anybody hasn't seen this movie, I'm sure most people have, but, what she has done to her as kind of like her punishment for being such a mean girl
Yeah.
is just wow. Just all her beautiful blonde hair is no more.
Right.
So
Yes.
I thought it was kind of, deserved, I
Yeah.
guess.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, as we go to like the last piece of this movie, it really ramps up at the very end between these girls. Um, and so Sarah, she goes back to like this. I guess it's not like a witch cafe, but it is like that bookstore or an occult store that is owned by this woman who
Mhm.
appears to also be a witch because this is where she tells Sarah that, you basically have a lot of power behind you. Um, I was really expecting a lot more story to go with that. Like, what's the background of this woman and
Mm.
how does she know so much? And, what's behind that door? Like, I thought we were gonna get more stuff going on there. But the final ending, and I won't give it away for anybody. I thought it was really, really good.
Oh, yeah.
And it's well worth the watch. Um, and like I said, it's it doesn't feel like an old movie of 30 years. Like, it really
Yeah.
doesn't. I don't feel it is. And I thought that it was just so well done. So, I guess it's a cult favorite. And,
Yeah.
like, do you think it's a cult favorite because of the witchcraft? Or, like, do you think it is a cult favorite?
Well, I'm trying to remember how well it did when it came out. And
Hmm.
usually, if a film does well in the theater and then increases in popularity, they don't necessarily call it a cult classic or a cult favorite. I usually
Mm.
define that as a movie that either flops or is disappointing during its initial run, and then over time, people really like it. I thought this movie did pretty well. I may be wrong on that, but I seem to
Mm,
remember that it did pretty well at the box office. I think it does hold up, like you say. I could see a movie like this being made today
yeah.
and being credible and being popular and being well received. When this movie came out, though, it did get some criticism. It was a different time, mid 1990s.
Mhm.
For some, the witchcraft theme was maybe a little too extreme. We look back at it now and we wouldn't think that, but 30 years ago, there was a different expectation. I think the fact that the main characters are witches and they're high school students, that was a little bit controversial for the
Mhm.
time. Today, most people wouldn't, think twice about that. So you look back at it now, and it does feel like a film that could easily come out today. Maybe was a little bit ahead of its time in the 1990s. So I like this one a lot. I think that it's got a lot of attributes going in its favor. We've talked about the performances and how good they are from all of the young actresses. You've got the supporting players like Skeet Ulrich, Christine Taylor. The special effects, which we haven't talked about yet,
Oh,
are
yeah.
top notch. I mean, they
Yes.
are terrific special effects. They would fly in the 1990s. They would fly today.
Mhm.
And then that confrontational scene near the end, and we don't want to say exactly who's involved in the confrontation. You can imagine who one of them is, I suppose. That alone is worth the price of admission. I mean, that final it's not the final scene, but it's really the climax of the movie. It's the penultimate scene, and it is very intense and very well done. So I think this one is an exceptionally good movie.
Mhm.
I'm gonna give this just like I gave Hokum, I'm gonna give this one 3.5 stars. I
Yeah.
like it. Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. I gave it 3.5 too. Um, you know, I honestly I wasn't sure what it was gonna be like when I first started watching it because I have no idea why I have never seen it until this point. But, I'm glad I watched it. Like, really, I thought it was really well done. Um, and I found out that there is, like, a part 2 that came out in, I believe, 2020, and it was, I think it was just called The Craft 2. Have you seen it?
I have not. I was not even aware that they did a sequel.
Fairuza Balk is in it.
Oh, really?
She's the only one, so I'm gonna have to see if I can locate it anywhere because I was like, "Well, now that might be interesting," because I don't know much about it, but I think it just kind of maybe follows the path of maybe a new generation of
Yeah.
witches, maybe. But she does make a return in this movie. I don't know as what, but she does make a return in it.
Well, I'm gonna have to see it now.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, for that alone, with Fairuza Balk being in this, it's interesting they waited as long as they did to do a sequel because
Mhm.
the original is '96. You said this second one is 2020.
I believe so, yeah.
So, wow, 24 years later. I mean, that's not unheard of. Psycho 1
Mhm.
and Psycho 2, there was about a 20-year separation there, so it
Yeah.
has happened. I've not heard of this second movie, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I will have to see if I can find it anywhere.
yeah.
And, I thought, like, another, like, little quick note too before we wrap up with this, the music at the very beginning, kind of like, I don't know, the opening track, like, the opening theme to the movie, it sounded so familiar, and I wanna say maybe it's the theme music from the TV series Charmed. Did that
Really?
sound have you did you watch Charmed when it was on TV?
I haven't watched Charmed often enough to
Mhm.
be able to tell you about the theme music. I've seen snippets of it here and there.
Mhm.
I know it had a following, was on for quite a bit. Then they had a
Yeah.
renewed effort with that. They did a second
Mhm.
series, I guess, with some of the same actors, actresses, if
Mhm.
I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was not enough of a fan that I remember that much about it other than the main players.
Ah, okay. Yeah, it the music sounded familiar, and it just kind of guided me to maybe the Charm series, because I wanna say that might have been on maybe the early 2000s or maybe the late 90s. I'm not sure. I'll have to look at that too.
Yeah, there was a version in the 1990s, and then there
Mhm.
was a more recent updated version of it. So, yeah, they've
Okay.
they've had 2 of those programs. Yeah.
Hmm. Oh, interesting.
Alright, so you give The Craft 3.5 stars just like I do.
Mhm. Yes.
Alright. Yeah, it's if you have not seen The Craft, and I'm sure a lot of you have seen it, but maybe haven't seen it in a while, I had to rent it to see it. I could not find
Yeah.
it on free streaming, but, for the few dollars it cost to rent, it was worth it, definitely. I'd
Mhm.
seen it years ago, and, I highly recommend this one. So we both like The Craft a lot, both go 3.5 stars, and then the current film, Hokum, we also both are fans of that. Tracy went 3 stars. I was a little more generous, slightly more, 3.5 stars, but, those are good ratings, and by the way, people
Yeah.
wondering about the ratings that we use, they're on a 1 to 5 scale. So 1 is very poor, 2 is pretty poor, 2.5 is mediocre, 3 is very good, 4 stars to me is a classic, and
Mhm.
5 is a masterpiece. That's just a general guideline for the way that we use it. So when we give a film 3 stars or 3.5, that's either very good or excellent, and
Yeah.
that's a good rating. These are not based on 1 out of 10, these are 1 out of 5. So 3 stars and 3.5 are good.
Absolutely.
All right, great job, Tracy. Good talking to you about these 2 films. We do appreciate your effort as always.
Oh, it's fun, and, it was a great topic tonight and great movies to actually take a peek at, so thank you.
And we'll have to take a look at The Craft 2 as
Mhm.
well. My thanks to Tracy. My thanks to all of you listening and watching. We do appreciate the fact that you have joined us once again in this Museum of the Macabre, and we hope we'll see you again next time right here in the Ghostly Gallery.